we'll officially begin this work session that we called for today. And we did this to take a good close look, to talk about the museum, because we had some work done by the engineers at Palmer's to give us an assessment of things that we saw wrong. They did some closer look at it and with their professional eyes, and have listed some of these aspects of this project, repair work, I guess, repair projects. I feel like I should put a disclaimer that the pictures you're about to see are not pretty, because because they aren't. We got a lot of work to do, but we got some needs. We were fortunate. We've received the Tiffin Charitable Foundation grant of $20,000. The Bernsteinzer Museum Foundation has indicated they would put monies in, and we ourselves have to determine what we could put in, and that's why we needed to look at it specifically to see how or what, and can things be separated out, done in phases, can't, whatever. So I thought this was the best chance, because the three of us haven't had a chance to talk about this stuff yet.
I just run into Jim Supetz this morning, which is the Museum Foundation. He thought that they committed to it, but wasn't sure. Do we have a confirmation of their contribution towards it?
Fran said at our museum meeting last week that they were looking at doing up to 30,000.
Yes, that was
And
what the request
assuming that
was.
we were probably putting 50,000, and they said, well, I told them we were meeting today and we're in a work session, that we talked about doing that to go through this stuff if they wanted to, see these things as well. And that once we did this and had a chance for the three of us to discuss it, we would know more of what direction we were going, and in terms of whether it's in phases or what. So I read this as they've got the base. I don't know if you ever give any clarification, Stacy, but of things that need to happen, and the ALT listing is alternate work. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, he went through the building that day and just was kind of taking pictures of, some of the problems that we knew of with this porch. And then he also just went around the building at some other things, looking to, give us somewhat of an idea of other things. And he goes, even some of the pictures on here is something maintenance could do, because there was a couple, I don't know if it was a doorway or something that just needs caulked. But he was just taking pictures of things that need to be looked at. And
This is a side porch on the east side of the building, right?
Mhm.
Vicki, can you make that any bigger? Just so they could.
Again, we gotta keep in mind that I've, for the last 2 years, have spoken with numerous contractors, and until just recently, nobody wanted to even tackle it, because it's one of those things, when you get into a project like that, is, where do you start and where do you stop at? I mean, so that's where I advocated that we would enter into some sort of an agreement to not to exceed amount, and have the engineer do exactly what they've done, so that we have an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish here, and then start tackling the project and do it on like a time and material basis.
Yeah, Commissioner Stacy's gonna take the lead on this. We've all talked to him. And, everybody has a different level of concern about the problems. There's a side porch, or there's a side room up there above this porch that they won't even let anybody in, because they're afraid that, that floor,
Collapse.
that thing could collapse. So there's, where that white is next to the windows, there's actually a room there that nobody goes in, from what they told me, that they're concerned about.
Yeah.
So, this is really, so Commissioner Stacy, they did prioritize what needs to be done first?
Just by the separation between the two categories of
project.
alternate and base projects, I think is
Base
all.
would be the first projects that
Yeah,
have to be done.
you can't really do the other ones first, would not make sense, or.
Wasn't there some concern here too, and maybe it wasn't at this spot, that there was water was getting in that basement pretty heavily,
Yeah.
kind of like a mudslide, I wanna say, just, and what, did they have anything to say about that?
Yeah, you can see the,
Okay.
That's in the basement there?
Look at it this way.
Just turn your
Tilt your
head.
head.
That's a basement step.
That's the step. There's a place where they show the.
The mud and the
Where the
water.
walls coming in that one room too.
Yeah, that sounded to me pretty critical.
Electrical panel listed as alternate, which makes sense. When they show that in that room.
Okay, so I appreciate all the pictures, but did they prioritize a list here? Did they kind of say this should be done first, second, third, fourth deal?
All the base items are basically to take care of the porch and the water infiltration on that side and that basement.
Did they talk about any value to that or any cost to that?
Nope. Nope, that's what they're still working on.
So they're gonna come back to us with what they think the cost of that
Yep.
will be.
Well, they are.
I think,
Now it flipped
yeah.
all of them, didn't it?
It sure did.
I mean, how do we handle this? We have the bidding process, I mean, what is it, it's gotta be under 50,000?
Yeah.
Now, but how do we have an opinion from our prosecutor if we did this over a 2-year period? But again, I just hate to let anybody do this, and there was a reputable contractor that said he would do it in time and material.
I think Palmer's working with that contractor
Okay,
on some of this
okay.
stuff too.
I mean, how do we do this? If we do it over 2 years, do we I say get around, but does it get around the minimum that we let it out for bid and so forth and so on?
Well, and the good thing, if we could, and I guess once they put estimates to this stuff, and we know, breaking it which just allows us to, we've got the foundation money from the two groups, and whatever we want to put in, but if it's under the bidding threshold, we can begin the work a little faster. But the other thing is we can allow that adequately to budget for the rest of it in our budget for next year,
Right.
which we haven't done because we weren't anticipating this, we didn't plan, we didn't look at this and put it in the budget.
So we can take-
that's,
we
it's
can
not so
take-
much to avoid the bidding as much as it is to allow us to appropriately plan the finances for it and do it right, is the way I look at it. But they're gonna come back with the estimates, they think they're gonna have them by the end of August?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we will know, and then we could just, he tell us, all the base stuff's gonna cost you, 50,000, we have to decide, we're gonna go with all that, in the chance, like you said, it's gonna go over, or do we,
And John's
Because-
looking at some of these alternates to see if they can just go ahead and do so.
Well, it sounds like we've tentatively, and I use that word, tentatively committed for the total project somewhere in the vicinity of $100,000. Okay, so I gotta believe this, this work, redoing that porch and that foundation, and that may very well eat all that up.
I have no idea what to think, to tell you.
I don't either, but.
Just the base projects or the base and the alternate projects?
Just the base.
Yeah,
Just
just
all
the
those are
base
based for the most
projects.
part, the water issues and the porch,
Well, then how do, if it's over 50, then we gotta let it out for bid.
yeah.
Well,
But,
what,
I mean, which isn't a bad thing, it's just that it's gonna,
right,
take
where's
more
that
time.
where's that foundation problem in relationship to that porch?
Right underneath it.
Right underneath of it, and there's just a room area. I thought they had a photo of it.
I know you took one, Holly.
Yeah, I know, I took one and I gave them all of my photos that showed that room where the water was coming in, and then right, coming
This
down
one?
out of that room and around the corner was basically the little mini mudslide.
Well, I don't
Because of
know
what's
very much
washing
about
in.
It's gotta be
It's
fixed.
underneath there, but there was an interior picture too, but maybe it was mine, not theirs.
Yeah, I think it was yours.
I don't know that much about construction, but it looks to me like they're almost gonna take that porch off of there, fix that foundation and redo
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's what I would think. And of course, they wanna try to do it and keep it aesthetically comparable to the rest of the structure and so forth, since it is a museum.
And they did talk about the area, because right now underneath that porch is really not being utilized because of all the issues, instead of basically backfilling it with either stone or
Yeah.
instead of. 'cause
Keeping it a room.
Yes, instead
Yeah.
of keeping it a room.
Yeah.
Saving on a little bit of cost that way, still fixing the foundation, but not,
Yeah, it's not utilized as a showroom now, it's just storage.
and there's not even anything in
And they couldn't, I don't think, because of, some water issues you can't, but it's not huge.
I mean, they have, okay, these are all, did you look at the carriage house at all?
No,
No.
no, we can have him look at it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I figured
Yeah,
this is what we're
plenty, yeah, I
working
know
on,
that-
so.
Well, one of the, on their wish list originally was to be able to put some things in the carriage house.
Yeah, yeah. And I would think that, depending where we get in terms of other things with the museum, we had our, our third meeting, Nikki, was that our third meeting? With the reorganizational task force team, and we had that last week. We are meeting again later in September, and going to attempt to put budget information together and mission statement, which they've, there's already been some work done on, to see where that group gets. But I thought we kind of broke the threshold in the meeting last week in a good way. Just getting to the point where people are gonna let go, and we've got to set the past aside in order to make progress to get into the future. And we're trying to get everybody to a clean drawing board saying, from here forward, what should the operations of the museum look like? That's the goal, is to figure that out. And if we can keep everybody focused on that and to let go of, well, this in the past and that, saying, sorry, but it doesn't matter, we've got to move on. And I think we broke that threshold. I think we're going to see significant progress the next meeting. That's the hopes. That's how the facilitator felt after the meeting. So we meet again September 23rd. And with that core group again, I think I could see us down the road after we get those things set, then having a larger meeting, inviting some other folks in that have that same vested interest as we do in this museum, such as the Chamber, the Visitors Bureau, maybe some representatives with universities, whatever it might be. Because it's a part of everything we offer, it's part of the whole effect of people coming to Seneca County, what they want to do, what they want to see. And so we want to have their feedback and input too when we're ready for it. So that's not going to be the next meeting, but maybe the one after that. So we're making progress. So I shared with them that in lieu of that's still going, but this is separate, same topic, separate issue is this structural stuff.
Okay, so for an action, we're waiting for Palmer to come back with the cost.
Yep.
Yes.
And do we have a confirmation that the foundation is gonna put 30,000 in it? Do we know that as fact yet? I mean, is that,
I don't have that, I haven't.
Yeah, I know it from Fran sharing that. I don't know if they acted on it because they didn't meet or she was waiting until we got back with them with more information. But she made it appear as though they're ready to do that.
okay.
I don't want to say she acted on it because I'm not sure when they met.
I mean, I don't
Or when
wanna
they
let a
begin.
project out when we don't have funding
Yeah.
in
So when we
place.
get the estimates, then we can get that confirmed and then make the decision, are we putting everything out? We're gonna put it out to bid because we want to just get it all moving? Or do we not want to do it that way?
But they're continuing, I mean, they replaced some windows, right?
They haven't been done, but they've got the
They're ready to do that.
They've got money, we've already received the money from the foundation for
Okay,
that.
and they're doing some cosmetic things, I mean, I saw them out there painting,
Yeah,
shutters and those kind of things.
they cleaned up landscaping and those kinds of stuff because of, they've got events this month. You know, they're
Do we
trying
have
to
our
keep
guys
these-
doing the lawn and stuff, or that's still, no?
That's still them.
I
That's still
think
them.
the sheriff's department was there.
Yeah, they use the work crew to clean up
Some of it.
landscaping and pull stuff out earlier in the spring.
Or are we leaning towards the operation of the museum coming back under the auspices of the county? I mean, us having the employee that runs the museum?
I would say it's leaning that way, I wouldn't say obviously that'll be
No,
our
I
call,
know,
but
I know
yeah,
the decision's been made,
Yeah.
that's a tendency.
yeah.
My preference is to keep it private, and that we would just contribute towards the operation, but to keep it private. That would be my. Okay, so
Thanks for the update, appreciate it,
Yeah.
appreciate your work on this. Let us know whenever we can get involved, like I say, like we all had conversations, but I think it's just much better when it was like
Yeah.
you in this case.
Well, as far as the structural stuff, that, I look at that being separate from the operational things we're
Right.
trying to get formed
Yeah.
in place, so I don't, we can all work on the structural stuff. And the other, like I said, I don't think the next meeting will be the one that will be ready to open it up yet, but probably the one after that, if we continue to make the progress at each meeting as we've been doing. So, yeah.
I guess the next question I have, the email I got yesterday with potential budget reductions.
Oh,
I
sure.
mean,
Yeah,
what is that, ICE?
yes,
Did the Budget Commission do that at the meeting yesterday? I did not.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the reference is we've been reduced the general fund by $865,000 or right about there. Because the sheriff's has provided, I guess the written documentation indicating that unforeseen circumstances that project that amount of income is what he's expecting not to have from the ICE program.
And I guess what it is, it's kind of a change in federal regulations as to how they're incarcerating. This is strictly immigrants, from what I understand. What is ICE stand for?
Incarcerated.
Illegal immigrants. So they're changing how they handle that, so therefore we don't have that amount of people coming. Is there other ways of supplementing some of that income? Have we solicited some of the other counties?
Sheriff said yesterday at that meeting that he's working with Sandusky County. They had reached out to him. They're in need of housing some female prisoners, so he's getting a contract with them working, and it's not going to even come close to right now.
Right.
But at least he's bringing in some extra ideas. He's hoping. He also said that there was the Cleveland jail where he usually gets these lost the contract, so he's hoping they get the contract back within the next year or two, and this will turn around a little bit. But
It's really cut his revenue from ICE in half. It was about 1.6 million.
yeah,
It was budgeted in there, and it's down to 800,000, so it's
Yeah.
a dramatic effect on us. I mean, with seeing that, I mean,
we're gonna
how's
have
that?
to
I
take a
mean,
look at his budget.
well, not only his budget, we gotta look how it's gonna affect us. Since I haven't been to a budget commission, where do we stand at that? Is our revenue, are we exceeding what our projections were? So we'll offset some of this? You understand?
We've been up a little bit. I don't know if it's enough to offset this
No.
so much, but this has obviously taken a big chunk of the carryover we've been looking at all year, has been in excess of 2 mil.
Yep.
And this is gonna cut that down, and
Yep.
that's the reason you don't jump into spending that carryover, I guess.
Yeah.
So what is the revenue of the increases? So I'm trying to get in my mind, we got 850,000 we know is coming out.
Right.
Well, from what I looked at, it was about half of what we lost
Yeah.
is,
Increase.
we're over what we thought we would have.
Okay, so the net is right now about 400,000
Yeah,
then.
call it 450.
It's gonna,
Yeah. I have 300,000 just in money that we have receipted in that needs increased and needs adjusted, but there's some other lines that are ahead. I mean, sales tax is up a little bit, not a lot, but it's hanging
so
a
that
little bit.
figure that I was asking you to keep track of when we've appropriate additional funds that are over the budget
Yeah.
is roughly 300,000?
That's revenve.
Yeah,
That's
if you,
revenue.
It's revenue.
if you annualize 300,000 based on 7 months, it gets you, someplace about half of this, as I looked at it. It just means, as Commissioner Tate said, it just means the carryover,
Mhm.
instead of being $2 million, will probably be more like $1.6 million, which isn't the end of the world.
Mhm.
I mean, thank goodness.
But obviously, if he doesn't see changes in that by the time we budget for next year,
Right.
obviously we have to look at things different.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them, the Budget Commission determining what they're going to certify
Yeah.
is going to take a hit.
They did certify local government funding money for 2016, and she said it'll be about the same as 2015.
From the state.
Yep, from the state. That's what they certified yesterday.
As I mentioned, I just had a meeting this morning with the judges looking at indigent council, and they feel they're gonna be pretty close to budget on that now. But wasn't there a law passed under the state that we're gonna be reimbursed at a higher percentage instead of,
It was 40, I think it was 40, and now it's going up to 48 and a half, I believe.
Yeah,
so what kind of additional revenue is that gonna bring in?
well, it doesn't, it's just gonna be expense we won't have. They're gonna pick up that share.
Yeah, okay, well, so then,
Yeah, so it'll help, it'll be
Yeah.
that, yeah, that'll free
I
that
mean,
money
how does
up.
that extra $8, how does that equate?
With all of the indigent council we pay roughly 200,000 in indigent council.
I thought it was 120.
With all of the judges, with all of the,
All we pay for municipal court
Yep,
too,
and
community
we
court
get
too,
reimbursed for that.
And it's
Yeah.
120.
We got, well, I mean, if we were getting 40, we're getting 40, it's a 20% increase, thereabouts. So that number would be reduced by 20%.
yep.
Okay, that's the number I'm looking at, so. Because again, indigent council is one of those things that you have no control over. I mean, it's what it is, and we gotta come up with the money somehow.
Right.
Like so many things in government, you just have
And
to
I don't
come
know
up
if that,
with
for
it.
sure, the way that read, if that will be a full, they're picking up 50%, whereas it was supposed to be effective, you know, like whatever, fairly close to when that passed with the budget. But then the memo came through, it says due to some glitch, it was going to be 48 instead of 50 or something. But I think the intent is for it to get to the be 50, and I don't know if that'll take just to the next year.
It's
Next,
like an April now,
yeah. So. All right, well, like I said, I'm just glad that we've got this assessment on it. Anxious to see the engineering estimates on these structural improvements, and then we can make the decisions, and we've got things, you know, grateful for Tiffin Charitable Foundation and the Arnsteinzer Museum Foundation, you know, in line to assist with this. And as soon as we
Yeah.
have numbers, then we can start putting the plan in place, I guess, the action.
If
Well,
it's
just to have-
possible, we could prod them a little bit, because if we want to have some work done later this year, I mean, it's gonna be tough to be
Yeah.
able to get it in these contractors' schedules. I mean, they're busy, and you wanted this is certainly outside work, so you want to be well underway, if not completed by first snowfall. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, end of August means we don't really make a decision till middle to the end of September. It's tough for all of a sudden, the contractor just turning
Yeah.
things around and trying to get in there in the next month. Because this certainly is probably a 6 to 8 week job to complete this, so you can see the time frame. And if we want to spread it out over 2 years, can almost we get part of it done this year and part of it done next. I mean, it's another question, but if the contractor, to keep it under the bidding threshold, he does the work and delays the bill. I know it's kind of a numbers game,
No.
you can't do
No,
that.
no, I can't do that.
I don't know.
No, once you put it out to bid, that's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank
That won't
goodness for
matter.
the two foundations. God
Yes.
bless them.
Yeah.
Public-private partnerships in these repairs are certainly something that can be appreciated by everyone. But it's really like a match with us. I mean, we've got half the money, and we're gonna match half the money from the
Yeah.
private sector. So that's
Very close.
certainly more easy to swallow.
During work session, another thing I'd like to update and kind of get the opinion of the fellow commissioners is yesterday, we're regional planning, we're in the process of picking a firm out that's going to do a comprehensive transportation, land use, assessment of Seneca County and so forth. We're in some negotiation with a couple different firms. We kind of picked one out yesterday, and we're trying to negotiate them down a little bit, but it's going to require some funds from the county here, And the mayor is chair of that committee, and the mayor is offered to match whatever the county comes up with. So kind of kind of looking at maybe 20,000 from the county, 20,000 from the city, and the balance of it, the majority of it will be paid through regional planning's budget.
Now, they had budgeted 50,000 for it, so if they're gonna, the plan's gonna end up being 90,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this stuff, so I guess it's hard to make further comments, but if they budgeted, I don't know, this seems
But again,
it's double.
based, yeah, I mean, it's not cheap. It's not cheap, but going back to what Commissioner Kirschner said in our strategic planning process and the importance of lobbyists and they get some of these programs pushed at the state level, you gotta have a plan so the lobbyist knows what to lobby for, kind of thing. So I think it's kind of the chicken and the egg syndrome here. We gotta have one to be able to get the other. Now, I guess what my question is, if my fellow commissioners are not supportive of it, then I need to know that, because we're proceeding as if the funding from the city and the county, the additional funding that's needed, will be there.
The, when they put, I guess I'm not sure, when they put that out for, they put out a request for proposals, do they don't give them a dollar figure what they have? I guess I'm not sure how that would work, you know.
Basically,
It's not a qualification,
we
it's a
put a
proposal.
scope out of what we want to achieve. They come back and make a proposal, and this is what they'll do, and this is what it's going to cost you.
Did any of them propose, I mean, I don't know, that they'd be able to work with the regional planning director and any, like when we did the one for OSS, you know, they have a plan they have to update for environmental reasons and all that every so often. And when we looked at that one, we asked the director, is there parts of this that you could do to bring the cost down? And that was a yes. And so we lowered the cost a little bit by being able to do that, but I don't know how those proposals were done, or
Those are-
how many they
well,
received or anything.
I mean, just to give you an idea, the one proposal was 130.
Wow.
And we're trying to get it down to 90 to 100.
How many did they get?
Maybe 8.
No, it's good representation by all
8.
means, yeah.
So it was a real good response.
Yeah.
We narrowed it down to 3, and yesterday, we had the 3 come in and interview, and we kind of prioritized those 1, 2, and 3. The unfortunate one is the one we chose as number 1 was the highest cost one, so now they're going back and negotiate. They said they're willing to negotiate, and what we want to do is negotiate, but not take out some of the aspects of what their plan is. So,
I guess my comment, I still like to see the scope of the work for $130,000. This is a transportation plan and a land use plan.
comprehensive transportation land use that will look at economic development and safety.
Are you looking at sites for industrial parks and those kind of things?
No, but the one that we selected is, instead of looking at this super comprehensive plan, is we would pick out 4 or 5 areas that are, we think, strategic, and then they will work with us on implementing that, of outlining that plan and telling us and giving us the avenues for resources towards that, to implement the plan. So again, what we don't want to do is we don't want to create a plan that's a beautiful binder and sits on the shelf. We want to create a plan that we can actually implement.
When's the
I'll be happy to get you guys the,
Yeah.
And the one you're negotiating with is the 90,000, not that was the highest one, the 130, right?
well, the 130, we're hoping to get them down to 90 to 100.
Well, that is your number one pick.
Yeah, and how we're doing that, is, what part of it can we do? What part can regional planning director?
when is the last strategic plan, what was the last one completed? We had a countywide plan.
2001, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
2002, I thought.
Okay. That was commissioned by the regional planner. regional planning
I-
group or?
To my knowledge,
I
to my
believe so, I've
knowledge.
got it laying in there, I think that's right.
Okay. So that makes the cost of putting our strategic plan look pretty good together. 0.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I don't know if you need an answer today of whether we would
No,
or
but-
wouldn't.
but-
I guess we need to know a little more, like you
Yeah.
said, to see what they're,
When is your next scheduled meeting about this?
We have a regional planning board meeting on Wednesday,
Right, I knew that.
but we're not gonna, nobody thought that we could have the negotiations done and be ready to propose it to the full board this Wednesday. So we're gonna call a special meeting over the next couple weeks when Roxanne,
Okay, well,
Does-
I mean,
does
I
the
guess,
negotiation.
well, I would personally like to be invited to that meeting so that I can at least hear what the proposal looks like and what's all involved in the strategic plan.
in the meantime, why don't I have Roxanne give you the scope of what we let out for bid, and then give you at least, I mean, they're pretty thick, but it give you at least two of our three top choices.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little taken back. When was that budget done for the regional planning?
the end of the year. It was approved, same budget time as ours.
Well, end of last year, so
And-
whoever was regional planning director at that point put the number of 50,000.
Well, it was Roxanne. Because she was on in December. Because their budget went in late because their director was not on full-time yet.
I mean, the best surprise is no surprise.
Yeah.
I wish that we would have had a couple of conversations with people that do this kind of work to come up with a number. I mean,
Yeah.
if we're 50% of what the probable number is or less than that's tough when that time comes.
With Roxanne being a new director, it's tough to hold her responsible for the budget that was really done.
No, I'm not
month
holding,
after
I'm not
she
holding
comes
responsible for
into
anything, it's just that
office.
whoever did the preliminary calculation as to what the plan was gonna cost, I would have assumed that they would have made a couple of phone calls to get a number
Yeah.
in general for those kinds of,
I mean, just to give you an idea, the low was 80.
Yeah, so they're,
The low is
so
eight.
what he's saying is correct. They really weren't,
They were under budgeted.
yeah,
My
they were
point
way
is,
under
you know,
budget. They
if you
didn't
made-
have good
if you'd made
information
two-
they were budgeting on.
you made 2 phone calls, and it says it's probably gonna be $100,000, you know. Okay.
Certainly talk with Roxanne. I will get get the scope that we sent out, so you understand what we're trying to achieve, and then get the top 2 candidates that we interviewed yesterday, where you can read their bios and how they want to go about it, and how they're proposing. This will take anywhere from as short as 6 months up to 18 months. And we think it can be done in a year. But again, you need that to be able to go to the state, go to ODOT, and ask for money. The first thing I'm gonna see is the
Well,
plan.
my plan about that was, when we had that discussion, Fred, was we're not, you know, it's just like with other issues. You can't wait until the study's done before you start lobbying. I mean, you can't wait you can't just sit on your hands for 12 or 18 months and not go down there and ask for specific monies for road improvements for Seneca County. I mean, that's beyond silly, that to wait till we have the plan complete before we start to ask, before we start to go down there and advocate for Seneca County. I mean, I hope that's not the assumption.
Well, no, and I hear you loud and clear then, but I mean, that's something that we need to talk about funding and so forth. If we're gonna look at a lobbyist, then we need to start budgeting for that. And I strongly recommend, I agree with what you're saying there, and we need to look at that, get in the next year's budget. Just one more brick on the process there, but.
I don't know if we want to go any further on that one, or I think maybe we better just call our regular session to order. Yeah, that's good, and the work session. Okay. All right. With that, I will officially call this meeting of the Seneca County Board of Commissioners for August 4th to order. Please join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You join me for a brief prayer? Lord, thank you for this beautiful day and for all the many blessings that you bestow upon us as we gather at this time for the purposes of conducting public business. Be with us in all of our decisions. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stacy,
Here.
Commissioner Zoller,
Here.
Commissioner Kirschner.
Here.
We'll have the signing of the journal, and I'll accept a motion to approve the DVD recording of the previous session from Tuesday, July 21st, and the written index.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Approved. Thank you. All right. Before we get into any adjustments to the agenda, we'll do that.
I have a
Yes.
liquor license,
Oh,
liquor license.
oh, okay. So would that be under new business?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. All right.
Airport for old business, please.
And airport old. Is that it? All right. 10 o'clock, we had scheduled Sharon George from Family and Children First. We are a bit past 10 o'clock, but we will get moving with this. So,
We put in there on the Nancy.
Yeah, it's just under old business. I don't think we put financing specifically.
all right, so Family and Children First. Come on up.
Come on down. Come on down.
Come on down, up, whatever. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. I
Morning.
brought you 3 packets here, and I won't read any of, do you have any for me to just sit here and?
You can sit, you can stand, whatever you wish.
All right, I'll stand and
Whatever
wait.
works.
The purpose of my asking to be here today is twofold. One, I need to seek your approval, at least recognizing our annual budgets for the Family and Children First Council. So our fiscal year starts July 1, and just a bit of background info. This governor's office 20-some years ago created councils, and in each county, the blue flyer is a list of our council members. So what the governor's office said is that anyone who works with families and children, it would be a great idea if y'all collaborated and worked together to figure out what your county needed for its children and families, and then set about to get it. So if no other member organization will be the fiscal agent or be our umbrella organization, it falls to the commissioners. We've never been in that situation in Seneca County. It's always been Job and Family Services, Mental Health and Recovery Services Board. Currently, it's the Educational Service Center. So they are our fiscal agent. The Family and Children First Council, although it was created through the governor's office, it's a non-entity. We don't have our own identity. We are not a 501c3. We fall under the Educational Service Center. So in there are our budgets for fiscal 16. The one is for the operation of Family and Children First Council, and the other 2 are program budgets. 2 of the programs that the council is responsible for are wraparound coordination and a newly created, within the last 2 years, mentoring program called Seneca Mentoring Youth Links. So what I'm asking you to do is review those 3 budgets and say, yes, looks good. Our August council meeting is being rescheduled. It was supposed to be Thursday, but we're unable to make a quorum, so I believe it's going to be August 20th. We're kind of jockeying that one right now to try and figure out a date that works. This is a new, I see you writing that down. Mike is our council member for the commissioners. So we're trying to reschedule that so that we can get our budgets approved and conduct our business for August. So that was number 1. Number 2, I wanted to update you on some of the council business, i.e. grants that we have received. The one budget you'll see on the revenue side of things for a wraparound budget, there's 2 new grants that we have been involved in, the fiscal 15, and then we did get renewals for fiscal 16, and that would be Engage and Strong Families. And those are grants coming from the state of Ohio, some federal funds, most state funds. Engage, we are involved regionally with Seneca, Sandusky, Erie, and Ottawa counties. And then Strong Families, we are involved at Seneca, Sandusky, Erie, and Lucas County. And all of those funds are regional funds that are for reducing out-of-home placements. In the annual plan, which you can peruse later, we'll also be approving in August, to document our effectiveness as a council. In the annual plan, one of the highlights that you'll see is the reduction of out-of-home placements. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, so in April, Job and Family Services and Family and Children First Council co-sponsor an event highlighting abuse, neglect, prevention. And when we started about a decade ago, we released a balloon for every child in placement, and it was 90 balloons. This year it was 7. So when you think about not only quantifying but qualifying that, the number of dollars that has saved the county for out-of-home placements, as well as qualifying it that family system was not fractured and then worked to reunify. So most of what we do at the council level is working on providing stability for that family before a fracture incurs. So that is what wraparound coordination sets out to do. So the state is recognizing that wraparound coordination is working. In the northwest corner, we have a stronghold and many years of experience with that. What they want to do through Engage and Strong Families is spread that across the state, so that in some way, some form, everyone's doing wraparound coordination. We are one of the few counties in the state of Ohio that have a designated full-time wraparound coordinator. Previous model was everybody who worked with families and children was cross-trained in wraparound. Every case manager for children's services, every probation officer, anyone who worked with families and children was cross-trained in the wraparound plan. But if you think about caseloads of the caseworkers that work for Job and Family Services and the probation officers, they're already way up here. You identify a family where multiple issues are happening, and you say, we now need to create this plan. It's a whole other layer of work, and facilitating the meetings, getting that whole team together, pulling in who needs to be at the table. So the council about 10 years ago said, you know what? We need to create a position, and we need one person in our county to be responsible for that. And we can say, if you look at the very end of the annual plan, one placement for a child can be $375 per day. So the program costs roughly $75,000. And if you think about a child being in placement for 3, 6, 9 months at $350 a day, the program pays for itself when it reduces one out-of-home placement. So those are a couple updates. The newest information that I have to share with you is regarding the community connectors. The governor's office put out a request for proposals for mentoring programs in the spring. He had $10 million to put out, and he received requests for like $62.5 million. 190 requests were submitted. And we submitted a request, and ours was granted. I think in Seneca News Daily today there's going to be a story, but we are one of 82 in the state of Ohio that received that grant for our mentoring program. So we do a peer mentoring program in the schools where high school students are matched with middle school students in need, and 1 period per week they are mentored. And the other is the traditional outside of the school day, the one-to-one match. So what that grant will allow us to do, Tiffin Seneca United Way is the lead applicant on that agency, on that, and all of the partners will be listed. But there were 3 schools that were eligible based on their graduation rate and poverty rates, and so we're very excited to receive that grant. We will be hiring a mentor coordinator to recruit mentors, because that's what we need. We know there's hundreds of kids with 67% single parent households. We know there are thousands of kids that need mentors. What we need is mentors. So someone will be recruiting. That's a 3-year cycle grant. The first year is 3-to-1, second year is 2-to-1, third year is 1-to-1. So what they've told us is, although the future is unclear because the response was so incredible, that if you do what you say you were going to do in year 1, the funding for year 2 and 3 looks good. So we're very excited about that. And I'm sure as commissioners you all have been hearing about Healthier Buckeye Councils and House Bill 64. And just, I see that is an option for commissioners to create a Buckeye Council. My thought, and speaking with Kathy Oliver, is we have a system already in place. It's the Family and Children First Council. I personally don't see a need to create a whole other collaborative entity. You could easily add a couple members on to the council. Something else that they have linked with the Healthier Buckeye Council is House Bill 64, which is geared towards bridges out of poverty. About 10 years ago, the council sent me to become a facilitator for Bridges Out of Poverty and getting ahead and just getting by world. So we have made some good strides with local funds. We've written to local organizations like Tiffin Charitable, National Machinery, a couple local grants to help us fund that project and to do the Getting Ahead classes, which is a 20-week curriculum for individuals in generational poverty to help them understand more about the middle class and how to be successful in middle class systems. Counterpart to that is Bridges Out of Poverty. So all of the schools in the county have been trained on the Bridges Out of Poverty model because typical Seneca County teachers are middle class and they may not understand necessarily what their students that are dealing with generational poverty are addressing. So when you say things like, you may not understand why that homework is not coming back completed, but did you know there's 11 people in that house and there isn't even a 4x4 space for that child to sit and do their homework? No, because that's, when I go home to my house, I have like 6 options of where my kids can do their homework. Didn't occur to me that my school students didn't have a space to sit and do their homework. But when you know that, then you can implement some other resources and maybe have them stay after school or have them come in early and help that child to succeed. So it's a very powerful education system which crosses social class. But similar to wraparound, the state is recognizing that many families are dealing with generational poverty issues. So through Bridges Out of Poverty and Getting Ahead and just getting by world, education can happen and true changes can take place for families in poverty. So that's something that is coming down the pipe, but it's linked to, again, the Healthier Buckeye Councils. So that's my bridge version. Like I said, I'm not going to read to you what I put in the packet.
Thank you.
Feel free to, yes.
Absolutely.
Any questions?
Did I hear you correctly? 67% of the families in Seneca County are a single-parent household?
That's correct.
67%.
Yeah. 67% of school children have one parent. So they go home to one parent. So when you think about what you have to accomplish at the end of the day with dinner and homework and operating a family, if you only have one parent, and then if that parent happens to be working or is elsewhere, it's very, very different than having 2 parents, one who might be making dinner, one who might be supervising homework and taking kids to soccer and so forth. So yeah, that's according to PCSAO, Public Children's Services Organization of Ohio. That's our statistic. It's rather
So one
sobering.
parent is more the norm than 2 parents.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does Seneca County rank to other counties?
We are close to the middle. Seneca County tends to hang close to the middle of the state. We're right in the middle in size. We're not that far off. It's a little worse than most counties. I tend, when I get that data, to compare us, because we share a mental health board, I compare us to Sandusky and Wyandotte. Sandusky County is neighboring and similar size, and we're not quite as favorable as Sandusky County, but they're all right around there. It's all very close.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Guess we will move on to some of our agenda items, next scheduled things here, but we got it at 10:30, so I don't know if anybody else coming, or we could have Chuck talk now.
I don't think.
Are you expecting anybody else, Chuck?
I wasn't.
All right, do you want to go now?
Sure.
Give you that option, it's a few minutes, right?
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Chuck Ritzler. I represent UIS Insurance and Investments and head up their employee benefit division. We have been here in Tiffin for about 90 years. We have 14 offices serving Northwest Ohio and the lower part of Michigan, and we employ about 100 individuals. The reason I'm here today is see if we could have an opportunity to take a look and give you a second opinion on your group health benefits. We currently represent 4 other neighboring counties, which is Sandusky, Erie, Putnam, and Wyandotte. So just leave you some information, a little bit about us. My contact information is in there. If you so do choose to take a look this year as your insurance comes up, we would love to have the opportunity to review that for you.
When does our renewal come up? Mr. Kirschner, I know that you're,
I think,
Chairman.
I think we're committed for 2016. I thought that was a
We have 2
3,
years left on Sevco's.
15 and 16.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's right, so we'd be,
Chuck, do you, was it Corsi?
Sevco?
Sevco.
Sedco,
Two-
yeah.
two of
Do
the
you
counties we have.
partner with them?
Yes, 2 of the counties we have are with Sevco.
I would certainly advocate, I mean, I'd always like to have comparison on looking at insurance rates and so forth. I mean, excuse my language, are also damn high, and I mean, not good.
I agree.
Swear at our guest.
Yeah. I don't know what, nice way to talk about insurance.
save
other
that,
than
save that language for attorneys, will you?
Yeah.
Well,
Darn high.
but on the same token, I don't want to waste Chuck's time. If we're, at what point, if our contract expired at the end of 16, would you want to, what makes sense for you to bid?
You need,
Or-
4 months prior to a renewal
Okay.
date would be
Okay.
what would make most sense.
We usually review the renewals about October, or about this time of year, right?
September's when I go get it, the beginning of
Yeah, I mean,
September.
we had a meeting in July, and
Yep.
so sometime about July or so next year.
We do have an agreement with Corporate One for 3 years, 15, 16, and 17. Just, I mean, they go out for bids for us too. They go and compare insurances too, so just so you have that information. I'm assuming that's kind of the
Same.
avenue
Same
that
Yeah,
thing.
you
we can opt out, and I mean, we,
for Corporate One. We signed
yeah,
a
I mean,
3.
if we find a much more competitive situation out there. I mean, I've heard numbers, what we're talking about, increases in insurance this year, and I don't like them, but,
Right.
so, I mean, Chuck, I mean, can't we could opt out at any time, can't we, or do you have
With,
to?
with Sevco, it's a 3-year commitment, so if you have not finished that 3 years, to opt out of that, then there is some runouts and some things like that if you get out before that 3 years.
Yeah, we have penalties. We have penalties to get out
Yeah,
of it.
well, then-
So that probably wouldn't be a smart thing to do. I don't know broker-wise what kind of agreement you have with Corporate One. I mean, that I wouldn't know about.
But that's a 3 year as well.
Yeah.
Is in the same 3-year schedule as with Sevco.
He has one next year, 15, 16, and 17. We were a year off on
Oh.
Sevco's compared to his contract. We just did that last year.
My suggestion, Chuck, is to work, I mean, I'm receptive of when we can look at it, at other options. I mean, it's a competitive world out there.
Sure.
We all understand that. Is in this, work with Stacy, and when legally we can get out of situation, then that would precipitate you to compare, cost here. And then at that point, then we'll, make a decision. But I agree with Mr. Kirschner, to do it now, if we're stuck for
Right.
3 years, we're
Yep.
just wasting your time.
Absolutely.
But that's why, again, I'm just repeating myself, but my suggestion with Stacy, our administrator, she can tell you when the first potential moment is, and then at that point, then let's go ahead and shop it. And I mean,
Okay.
do I have any disagreement with my fellow commissioners on that?
No, like I said. you want-
No, so I know there's a contract with the insurance Sevco, but I'm not sure what the situation is. I'd have to look at that. Yeah. I can't remember much of it. We'll see, we'll take a look.
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you for
bringing us the
Thanks to
information.
United Insurance employing so many people in the county. How many places in the county are you besides Tiffin? You're in
Let's see.
Betsville, I think.
Bettsville, we have a small office, Fostoria, Clyde, Bellevue, I know it's getting outside.
Yeah. Well, that's
Seneca
close.
County.
It could be
We're-
Seneca County.
We're, yeah, 14 offices.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks
All
for
right.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we're ready to move back to the agenda, or get the scheduled things. Under old business, we added airport, let's start with that so we don't forget it.
I gave you guys some information from Brad, was it 2 weeks ago now? I called him and asked him a little bit about the project. They've got an estimate of $8,940 to do crack filling of the runway, taxiway, and apron. He said that project was in need. He didn't put that in our budget for this year. We do have funds set aside for airport that can cover this, but I told him once we do this project, we only have like $1,200 left that's budgeted for the airport. So I didn't see this project coming. He didn't have that on the list, but he said it needed done.
Did he foresee that he had anything else that he would need, that 1,200 wasn't gonna be enough for?
He didn't say, but I told him if he had another project that he'd have to come to the board and ask because we didn't have it budgeted.
Yeah.
So we don't need a motion for this, this is part of what we already have.
Yep, I just wanted to make sure it was okay and we can move forward with it because Tanya does have money
The
there.
money's in place, it's
Yeah.
needed.
Yep, it just wasn't,
Yeah.
we didn't anticipate this one, but.
That's fine, okay. All right. Next, in our old business, we had the Joint Justice Center. We had the, I guess, third meeting of the leadership team on Thursday at noon. And one of the things we did was narrow down the, we talked about the cooperative agreement. I'll just follow my notes here. We looked at the cooperative agreement. We've got feedback from John Larson, who is legal counsel representing both the city and the county, to, instead of having one large cooperative agreement, to separate those things out so that we'd have the construction part under one and the continued use under a second contract. That was his recommendation back to our legal counsels of Brent and Derek. So he is working through that and was, I think, this week planning to get something back to Brent and Derek by the end of this week. So that's where we're at with the cooperative agreement. The owner's rep qualifications, we had the rating sheets that we had all worked on and went back with and made the decision to interview two, and that was Quandel and Pogemeyer. All three were Ohio firms. And so the interviews, we had targeted for that this week, but by scheduling, that's happening next week on the 12th.
Yes,
Okay.
9 and 10 o'clock.
Because one of the firms was not available. We knew that was a risk, being that we were deciding on Thursday and wanting to get something done in less than 7 days on a schedule, and it just didn't work. But so those are going to be August 12th, 9 and 10. We made the decision to go ahead and move forward, which would take our action today by resolution to put out the RFQ for the architect and for the construction manager at risk. And then that would set date, time, and place to receive the qualifications for those two contracts, and take that through the appropriate process. The beauty of all this, if timing all works, is that we would have the owner's representative on board, which we all want, before we're narrowing down the qualifications we receive from the CMR and the architect, because we want that expertise, we want them to be leading us through that process. And so, timing-wise, this should work, that would be the case. So that's that, and then we just talked about our topics for the next agenda. We have the 14th set aside as potential negotiations with the legal counsel and a representative of each group, to negotiate a bit on their contract for that owner's rep. I'm not sure if that time frame will still work, to do it 2 days after the interviews or not. That might get adjusted, I suppose, now that we moved the interviews back. And other than that, the next regular meeting is August 28th, again at noon for the group. And that's the date, time, and place that's proposed in the resolution before us would have the qualifications coming in on the 28th by 11 a.m. And then that group meets at noon, so we would open them at that meeting at noon, kind of a thing. So that's just the update.
And I know you need a little action, but
Yeah.
I'll bring everybody up to date if you don't mind on the bonding meeting, the
Yes.
financing meeting.
Yes, please.
We held that on July 31st. At that meeting, Rich Folk from the city, Damon from the county, Derek, our council, Gwen from City of Tiffin Finance Office, Joe Robertson, who's with the bonding company, R. Stacy Wilson, and the John Larson and Brent, of course, from the city. As Stacy, or as Holly has stated, they did also reiterate the fact that there will be two cooperative agreements, the construction, the actual construction, and then an operating management agreement after the construction took place. And they really felt that we need to start the financing process as soon as possible. As close as we could tell, the county's amount of bonding will be about $5.2 million, given the current scenario. We talked about a situation in which we can't offer a general obligation bond because of one of the school systems within the county, so it would have to be a sales revenue bond. The situation with that is typically the pricing on that revenue bond is a little higher than it is on a general obligation bond. But because the county's rating is pretty good, hopefully there won't be that much of a difference. We also talked about Plan B, that being if the Joint Justice Center can't happen because of whatever the agreements between the city and the county are, then how much would we have to finance as a county? Could we afford that? Could we be bonded for that? How much individually would it take us to get this done? But our numbers are that our portion will be approximately $7.5 million, understanding or assuming that the project is $10 million. The judges have committed to the vicinity of $750,000. That's not a final number. And the county is committed to putting in $1.5 million or thereabouts, which gets us to that $5,250,000 number. I think that was pretty much the gist of that meeting. Stacy was there. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, I think that was.
Was there any discussion, I don't know if that's where it would have taken place, on the loan, the LGIF loan that was acquired if this was a joint justice
Yes.
center?
Yeah, we talked about that and talked about using that for soft costs, and we also talked specifically about, getting the architects, paying the architects a number to get us to whatever that number is, to get us to a point where we understand what the cost might be. We've kicked that around a number of times, and Burgess and Nigel study said that it would be about a $9 million project, or 9.25, I think. We do have an individual local person who is being paid to give us an estimate as to what he thinks the costs are going to be. But the group, specifically the city, wanted to pay whoever the architect we chose a separate amount to come up with a number that maybe is a little more concrete. The $500,000 still becomes it has to be used for a joint justice center. So until we are absolutely certain that it is a joint justice center, we really don't want to tap that money because we don't know what the repayment of that would need to be if it doesn't become a joint justice center. I mean, I know that we're a very high percentage of that probability. And then the next question, of course, is who is going to administer that $500,000? So we need to make a call. Well, bond counsel has advised us that they would make a call, try to figure out what we need to do in order to change administration of that $500,000, and what we need to do to get that dispersed.
So probably once the cooperative agreements are in place, then we will know how we're moving, because we really aren't going to sign any contracts with anybody
Right.
until those are done. Those are first to be done.
Right, I would assume that's the case. I mean, the other topic that was discussed was that if either the county or the city is more needy with the attorneys, we really don't want the bill split 75-25. We want to split in a manner in which the requests are made. In other words, if we made 25 phone calls to council about it, and the city made 2, it's not fair to ask them for 25%. Conversely, if there were a number of calls made by them and we had much fewer, then we don't want to pay 75% of the bill. So there was some discussion about that.
question on bond council is, if we consolidate and have the city and the county go for the bonds, I understand there's a savings in that from
There's
a
some-
legal
there's-
standpoint and from the whole thing, but
Well, as I mentioned, Freddie, you're right. There would be some savings by having, one document. The question is, the city can do a general obligation bond, which may be priced less. And we're not certain exactly how much the city wants to finance now. The county has to do a revenue bond. So the question is, the difference in the pricing between those two, would that make up for the savings you'd have by only having one council involved in one agreement? I don't know the answer to that question. They were gonna calculate that.
Okay.
I think everybody is willing to cooperate, either a single issue or separate issues, depending on what saves the most money for each government entity.
I think the city was also talking about some refinance on stuff they currently have out there. That was another reason they may keep it separate. Because they're working on their other stuff potentially.
yeah, they're gonna start rolling in current debt and so forth and so on, or refinancing that, then, yeah, absolutely, we don't wanna be part of that then.
Yeah, that's, and we will, but we gotta make sure that the issue of the county stays under $10 million total of anything else, because anything above that isn't a bank qualified. A bank qualified bond is the banks can buy them and they're tax-free to the banks if they invest in a political subdivision that issues less than $10 million a year to make it bank qualified. So having said that, you need a motion on setting the time and the date for the RFP.
Yes, and we've got two separate ones listed, one for the CMR and one for the architect / engineering services.
Are we gonna do those simultaneously?
They're two separate motions, so we can do them simultaneously, yeah, just make sure you indicate if it's for both if you wanna do that.
But the dates are the same.
Yep, dates, all the factors are the same.
So, and those dates are?
Setting time, date, and place to accept the request for qualifications are 11 a.m. Friday, August 28th at 11 o'clock here in our office. And
For
it's
both of them?
For both of the construction manager at risk and the architect and engineer
And
services.
these are the requests for qualifications?
Correct.
Okay, so I would move the request for qualifications date to be set at August 11th.
August 28th.
28th, yeah, sorry.
28th, I'm sorry, for both the construction manager at risk and the architect for the Joint Justice Center project
At 11 a.m.
at 11 a.m. Anything else?
It's a date, time, and place, I gotta make sure we state those three things. All right, I will second the motion on those resolutions. A motion in a second, any comments or questions? If not, call the roll.
Commissioner Kirschner?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy?
Yes, they are approved, thank you. All right, move to new business and begin with bill vouchers.
I have bill vouchers, batch number 4326. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriation for the Sheriff Community Corrections Grant Fund. I'm putting $12,401.30 into salaries, $500 into supplies, $6,663.50 into contract services, $225 into other expense, $500 into travel and training, $1,426.15 for Medicare, $250 into HSA, $1,080 into hospitalization, $2,233 into PRS for a total $25,278.95. I have an appropriation adjustment within the M&R fund, moving $25,000 from their projects line to the materials line, and $10,000 from their project line to the steel line for a total moved of $35,000. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations general fund, putting $10,008 into supplies. This is for our bulk copy paper. We usually get how many pallets is that?
9.
We usually only do one order per year. So we did some shopping around with the locals, and Tiffin Paper had the best price on that. I have a supplement to the permanent appropriations for the general fund, putting $20,000 into postage. This is to cover 2014 expenses. We needed to, right at the end of the year, put money in place, and we went through the treasurer's office to do that, but the paper trail, the bookkeeping side was not done, so this is what, the $20,000 we need to cover that. It's already been paid, we just have to do the paper trail to follow that payment.
It's 2014.
14, yes, yep. I have a resolution authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Digital Data Technologies on behalf of the Seneca County Treasurer, retroactive to July 1st, 2015. I have a resolution authorizing the agreement contract with Stephen Simpkins to scan paper files into CDs or other electronic media on behalf of the Seneca County Prosecutor. And I think that's all I got.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the appropriations as stated.
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments or questions? I didn't see this one on there, but it was an addition, the one for the clearing up the stuff in 14.
Yeah, it's the very last. It got entered after I printed the agenda.
Oh, okay, okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss something. First I thought the amount was wrong, okay, it's just, that's a different one. Got it. Any other questions, points of clarification?
Well, we just talked about at some point maybe using, I see that we've got some people doing some scanning at the prosecutor's office. We talked about maybe making that a project for one of the colleges, hired some kids to do that. I don't know if I don't know where we are with that process, or if we need to talk to the elected officials about the possibility of that. There's probably, I'm sure there's some skill to this, but
Yeah.
it's mostly a lot of work.
That was in our strategic plan committee. We reported that we were trying to hone in on the internships and
Right.
the intern programs at both universities, and making sure we have their contact information, and then maybe as well generate a list of needs that different offices have, and if those can be addressed by, maybe they already are, and or if they can be by intern, and how we could mesh those things to
Sure.
make those connections to keep some things moving, like scanning.
Well, we talked about doing some things at the museum.
Yeah.
With some interns, and we talked about, especially the inventory there. Also talked about using some scanning, so I think we ought to at least remember that
Yeah.
as we pay for these things.
Agree. All right, we have a motion, a second. Any further comments or discussion? Not, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Pershing?
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller?
Yep.
Commissioner
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes, all approved. Thank you. All right. Gives us an opportunity for citizens' comments at this, oh, we got one more. See, I knew I'd forget. Some about a liquor license.
This is the one that we had done a while ago where they were transferring the name from one person to the other because the one person had passed away for
Oh,
that
yep.
Belmar boat landing.
Okay.
So now they must have got it transferred and are asking for the actual liquor license. I'm assuming since Hopewell Township didn't have a problem with them transferring the name, that they don't have a problem with having a liquor license, so.
Tiffin Yacht Club?
It's okay.
All right, we don't need action on it. We just know that that they, Hopewell approved it.
And I'll sign it
Yeah.
and send it.
Yeah, we always have yielded to what townships are, if they're in support of, we're good with that. All right. That's good. All right, now an opportunity for citizens' comments. At this time, does anyone have any comments, things they'd like to add?
Welcome to our new advertiser, interim, I suppose, advertiser.
Should we report?
Yeah. government
Nick is back.
relations guy.
Back.
Nick is
Like
back.
deja vu, huh?
Hopefully not long. You guys will get rid of me soon.
Depends on how you write about us.
We'll let you know tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just-
I will say one thing, the other one is better looking.
You got that right.
He's just saying, Nick, don't
Fair
take
enough.
To me at least.
There's no further comments of any kind. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
No, I have executive
Oh.
session.
Wait a minute, oh, how did I miss that? Oh, yeah, it's right there, executive session. Can we do that now, or do we have to wait till 11?
We can do that now.
Okay, then we need a motion to go into executive session before we adjourn.
I make a motion that we go into executive session. Reference personnel.
Motion is second to go into executive session for personnel reasons. Call the roll.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Yes.
Commissioner Zoller.
Yes.
Commissioner Stacy.
Yes, it is 10:44. We anticipate no action of business after the executive session. All right, so we're going to.